Evanston, Illinois, a community of 75,000, has traditionally stood in the shadow of nearby Chicago. But these days, it's in the spotlight, garnering international attention for a first-of-its government-funded slavery program aimed at eliminating the city's racial wealth gap.
Reparations is to make amends for egregious crimes or actions against the community. And our local case for reparations in Evanston was found in housing.
Evanston's reparations program, spearheaded by Alderman Robin Ruth Simmons, will use tax dollars generated by city marijuana sales to provide grants of up to $25,000 eligible Black home buyers. But while the $10 million program is being heralded by many, economist William Darity, co-author of From Here to Equality, says reparations need to be dispersed not at local levels, but at federal levels, and shouldn't be limited to programs aimed at home ownership or scholarships, as neither will erase centuries of violence, economic dispossession, and second-class citizenship.
The government either legally sanctioned some of those actions or turned a blind eye to those actions. So it's the federal government that we think is the culpable party.
Darity has calculated the amount that he believes the federal government owes descendants of enslaved people, not just for the period of enslavement and abuse, but for the decades of discrimination
watch out!
and redlining that followed.
We still find ourselves with mass incarceration, ongoing police executions of unarmed Blacks. We have a sustained process of discrimination in housing, credit, and employment markets.
How much are we talking here? The reparations, like the actual amount that it would take to make Black folks whole, how much?
Well, the total bill would be in the vicinity of $10 to $12 trillion to eliminate the racial wealth differential that exists in the United States today.
While reparations have been discussed in theory for decades, there's been a growing push to make them a reality.
He certainly would support a study of reparations.
From the White House to Congress, where growing attention is being paid to Bill H.R. 40, legislation aimed at studying the impact of slavery and reparations.
Everyone in our country needs to understand the historical context for systemic racism. This day of reckoning, this truth-telling moment has to come along with H.R. 40 and repairing the damage.
Back in Evanston, Councilwoman Simmons is fielding calls from cities around the nation wanting to enact their own reparations programs. In addition to the marijuana tax, money for the reparations fund is being raised by the local Catholic church and synagogue, and a local beer company has created a new ale with 100% of the proceeds going to reparations.
I think it's a lot of little steps that will take us to where we want to be.
With a $500,000 raised so far, city leaders say they're on their way to pay back what's owed.
The Black community of America is owed the right to enjoy humanity and the same livability as every other group in this nation. We are owed reparations.
My thing is this, right? HR 40, right? You want blacks to accept the fact of a bill to be passed to study, reparations, to study, blacks deserving this money. I got a question. Was HR 40 needed for the Jews when they suffered, the horrors of the Holocaust? Was HR 40 needed for the Japanese who were put in internment camps after World War II? What about the Chinese who helped to build the railroads all across America? I gotta ask that question. All right. And I just see this as important, man. That's how I see it. I mean, I have doubts about this because we live in a white supremacist nation, and to give blacks that, I don't know. It's like asking a villain that has violated you to give you back reparations. You're asking somebody who hates your guts to give back reparations. I ain't saying all white people hate blacks. I'm saying the white supremacists in power ask them to give you reparations. I don't know about that. Like they're gonna give it to you. There's some sort of trick. There's no catch. A suburb of Chicago is setting a precedent for racial equality as it moves forward in becoming the first city in the country to fund reparations for its black residents. But some residents say it doesn't go far enough to be truly called reparations. Evanston, just north of Chicago, voted to approve a groundbreaking measure in 2019 in which the city would financially compensate its black residents to address the wealth and opportunities gaps they have experienced because of the historical racism and discrimination. Using economy donations or revenue from a 3% tax collect on the sale of recreational cannabis, and the city adopted a reparations fund and pledged to distribute $10 million over 10 years. Since then, Evanston officials have been putting together a plan to disperse the money, eventually deciding that the first $400,000 will be dedicated to address housing needs. City Council is expected to vote March 22nd, but as officials prepare to move forward with a vote on the first phase of disbursement, some residents say more work is needed before the measure can be classified as true reparations. Reparations is the most appropriate legislative response to historic practices and contemporary conditions of the black community. And although many of the anti-black policies have been outlawed, many remain embedded in policy, including zoning and other government practices, said Robin Rue Simmons, an alderman in Evanston 5th Ward, who introduced the legislation. We are in a time in history where this nation more broadly has not only the will and awareness of why reparations is due, but the heart to advance it, Simmons said. Under the program's first phase, qualifying the residents would get $25,000 to use toward home ownership, home improvement, and mortgage assistance. Simmons said to qualify, residents must be either have lived or been a direct descendant of a black person who lived in Evanston between 1919 and to 1969, who suffered discrimination in housing because of city ordinances, policies, or practices. While Evanston passed a fair housing ordinance in 1969, redlining and discriminatory housing practices were sharply evident for years afterward. Real estate brokers developed a practice of informal racial zoning by treating a section of West Evanston as open to African Americans, which excluding them from the rest of the town. Historians Morris Dino Robinson, founder and executive director of the Shorefront Legacy Center, told Evanston Roundtable. In addition, many Evanston banks refused to lend money to black people to buy homes on blocks that were not viewed as acceptable for them. White homeowners also recorded racially restrictive covenants that provided that their homes should not be conveyed, leased to, or occupied by anyone not a Caucasian, he said. If the housing reparations are approved, residents could have reparation benefits as soon as early summer, Simmons said. But a faction within the city has recently formed formerly formed, says it opposes the program in its current iteration and has been pushing back against the vote. The group called Evanston Rejects Racism Reparations said in their Facebook post that the recent bill proposed by the city of Evanston never went through a racial equality anti-capitalist process. So what are you for? What are you for if you're against capitalism? Communism, Marxism? As a recent historical racist financial institutions like banks, corporations, and various individuals will profit from this proposal, reparations should not be monetized. It added, we are demanding a name change to the current proposal. The current proposal is inherently anti-Black, and we reject this bill as any form or reparations. An organizer with the group, Sebastian Knowles, a former male candidate, said that while no one in the group opposed the idea of reparations, they do not take the issue with this particular program. They do take issue with this particular program. This is not fully in the scope that and fully beneficial to the Black community, he said. Reparations is not just payments toward individuals who have been targeted by inequalities, but it's also proving the harm that took place will not take place again, ensuring that more harm will not be caused. Knowles 20 said the group wants officials to pause voting and to keep working on the program until it addresses group concerns. If the vote does move forward, Knowles said the measure should change its name so it does not use the word reparations. We need to change the name of the program because just having a housing program is not reparations, he said, adding that residents should just get direct payments so they can choose however they want to use the money. Knowles, who was unable to give an exact number of the members in the group, said he has heard from many community members, but Simmons rebutted the group's claims, saying the process has been fair, inclusive, and methodological. It certainly is reparations, it's redress, it's compensation for recovery of wealth lost due to the housing policy specifically, she said, adding that the subcommittee has engaged with hundreds of residents since 2019. We're doing what we can within our peer review as municipal government, she said. We don't govern the banking industry. We do advocate that the banking industry does more to improve their practices and create fair products, but we thought it appropriate that we take the first tangible step as a city within our purview. The program has been certified by the National African American Reparations Commission, a nonprofit civil rights organization, as a model for the country. We see it as a positive development when people are engaged in democratic process, but it's also important to be correct in terms of analysis and assessment of what's actually happening, said Ron Dennis, conveyor of the National African American Reparations Commission. This is reparations, he said. The city of Evanston is in the process of making repairs for this special category of harm. But moving forward, I'm sure that the city council and key people in the community will be looking for opportunities for these new voices. We have legitimate interests and legitimate concerns to become involved in the process, looking at the next round of reparation proposals. I'm going to be, for me personally, I don't think reparations should be money, but it should be put back, into housing programs to make sure there's no more discrimination in the housing market, to make sure, Blacks get a fair start, a fair shake, a fair start when it comes to achieving what they want in this society. That's what I feel about it. Okay. Giving money isn't going to help, but I think putting money in investing into programs, into schools that, that have poor ratings, fix that. Put the quality high-tech computers that are in white schools, put them in Black schools as well. Put home ec back, put auto shop back, put body shop back, put trade training back in schools, Black schools. And that's how I see it. But to have a bill to just say to study reparations, I think that's nonsense. Like I said, there was no bill to study what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust. There was no bill to study the oppression, what the Japanese felt in America after World War II. So what is this nonsense? That's how I feel about it. Whenever you come with that, it's just like I'm not taking you seriously. That's all I got to say about this for now. If you like what I have to say, give a like. If you want to leave a comment what you think, leave a comment in the comment section. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Later.